Welcome into KIV and Crack, another Monday morning edition here on the West Coast. Crack, we've got questions from the audience. We've got a NBA scandal. You mentioned that you wanted to talk about that as well, because it's been talked about at nauseum, but you kind of have some other opinions here on it. And then I want to talk about a couple of handicapping strategies as well with questions that I've been sent. So we're going to just get right into it. First question is, you and I both had Ravens minus 6.5, right? John Murray texts me, hey, I think Lamar's going to be a go. Crack bet, Ravens minus 6.5. I'm on X prior to filming bet on it. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to give out Ravens minus 6.5. I love them in this spot. We both have Bears under 8.5 wins. This is just kind of one of those things. A lot of things are going to be correlated towards betting the Ravens.
Yeah, something I didn't give it to the public because it was really, that the reason why I bet it there, because they have minus 08 juice. Doesn't sound like a lot. I know people don't. It's amazing, Kel. People really don't care sometimes about juice. Like, I talk about my Thursday night show. I talk about on BetMGM's 102 juice, 80% discount on Thursday nights, an hour before the game. No one cares. They lay 110 with their guy. They don't care. They just don't care about juice. But anyway, over there at Westgate, which we love, Monday night, Thursday night, and all the primetime games, Monday, Thursday, Sunday, primetime games, 108 juice. And I'm sorry, that's 105 juice.
Yes, 105.
108 every day. But situation when my guy read that about Baltimore, of course, I hit them first, minus 6.5, the minus 08. It was already leaking some other places. But and then, of course, when it came out the wrong information, I had to terrorize Murray and tell him, wow, you guys got me again. Minus 6.5, minus 0. Real genius I am. It's down to 1. And, of course, it had a win. And, of course, he sent me a text back. Oh, how'd you do on the Baltimore play?
Yeah, he's going to do that. You have to know that John Murray's going to rouse you. So I also laid 6.5 early in the week. As I mentioned, I was on X while we were filming bet on it, and I saw this video of Lamar Jackson. Everybody was saying he was stoned, allegedly, at this food truck in Florida. And I was like, that's not good. I cannot, with good conscience, give this play out now, even though I had already bet it, to our audience as a best bet. So I elected to give Panthers. So anyway, I digress. We'll get away from my gross week where all the favorites and overs hit. But that was like the most negative CLV play that we've had all season long. And it was virtually no sweat.
Yeah, it happens sometimes. You get the wrong information. This was very controversial, though. ESPN wrote articles about it. The Ravens, they're talking about, I don't know if they did yet, but they're talking about fining them for the way they handled the situation. This was my life is about getting information from beat reporters and sources that the public, let's just be blunt, they can't even get it from reading ESPN or watching ESPN. They have to get it from socials or reading beat reporters, but you have to know which ones are the right ones too. Most teams have more than one, so you have to make sure. So that's where I got that from. And sometimes we're wrong on things. We're wrong with information, but we get lucky on the outcome. I also had the over there, terrible beat on the over. I didn't think I had any shot. Again, they moved the other way against me. I only put it out there when the situation warranted it, that I knew it was going to be an advantage when I thought Lamar was playing. Sure enough, Chicago has first and goal on the 1, and they can't get in. So just embarrassing. They actually made it on third down by a hair. I seen a replay, but they were rushing so much to get back up, they never looked at it. And fourth down, the guy misses a wide open guy. Chicago's a mess. I can't wait till I cash my under tickets on them.
Same. That is the gift that keeps on giving. Let's hope it keeps on giving, because we do need a couple more losses before we get to cash that. But let's get into some of these other questions that I got right now. Everybody, I mean, you see the guys on VSiN, you see everybody on ESPN, probably even some guys over here at WagerTalk that are saying, all right, time to bet the Chiefs. Chiefs are our highest rated NFL team. And I'm going, are we sure? Are the Chiefs back? How do you rate these NFL teams in terms of power ratings wise? And then who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl?
Well, it's funny. I was scanning over the records today. When I see the Patriots on top of those, 62 Patriots, even the Colts.
The Colts.
One
You know
What?
why the Colts, Crack? I'm going to tell you why the Colts are doing so well. It's because I bet them last year. Because I love
Oh,
Shane Steichen. I thought, hey, this is the team. And here we go. Danny Dimes just proving all the Giants fans wrong.
and then I got to hear from John Orlando. I'm sure I'll hear it on Wednesday that his Broncos are in first place.
They're also my Broncos and also the Patriots. Mad Rush and Jeff Petch and I just was so nicely reminded in the back of my brain. I had the Patriots over 5.5 wins versus him last year. Friend bet, couple dimes. Yeah. Now, of course, the Patriots have already won 6 games.
So it's funny. We look at the Chiefs, and you look at them. They're 4-3. You look at them, and you look at their opening game when they lost. It was overseas though, but
Yeah, they were in Brazil versus the Chargers.
I don't care about that. It was even overseas. So, but it was they lose to the Chargers, then they lose to the Eagles at home the next game, and you just don't know where they're going there. Okay, they beat the Giants, big deal, and now they beat the Ravens, but how does the Jaguars beat? Like, you just any given week, any team can be the next best thing. So they win a couple games in a row, and now you think the Chiefs are the best team in football. I'm not saying I don't buy it. They are. They have the history. They have, which means more than anything too. Situational. You don't know how are these teams going to do. The Colts, the Broncos, down the line when they need games to win and playoff games and stuff. But I still look at some of these teams, and even Buffalo. They showed us that in New England. I mean, there's no standout team, and I want to say maybe the Eagles, but it's so easy to say that. They were Super Bowl champs. I mean, it's so easy to say the Eagles. I seen the Eagles play terrible a few weeks ago versus the Giants in prime time. Granted, they had they got back yesterday with beating them, but it's really hard to beat a team twice throughout the year. By the way, especially like collegiate sports, and when you have tape and so much tape on that game, because teams kind of play the same way they played. So it's hard to not go in there with all your best strategy that day in that game. It's hard not to do that again. So it's hard to beat a team twice throughout the year. But yeah, maybe I say the Eagles are still the number one team. But as far as me saying I'm going to bet something now, that's one thing good about sites like MGM, Caesars, the DraftKings, and the FanDuels. They have adjusted regular season wins on the teams every week. I really like that. I like betting that. But I don't like betting into the markets of who's going to win the Super Bowl. Now, why? Because it's not a yes-no market where, like, the over-under season wins, it's a yes-no market. I know what the hold is, 5 to 7%, depending on the juice, compared to something like team to win the Super Bowl, team to win the NFC. It's a one-way market. You're betting into a 25% hold or more. There's sports books in this town. I'm not going to throw them under the bus that hold 40% in those markets. So I'm not looking to bet those type of things right now. Who do I think? Yeah, maybe, but I'm not betting anything with the Eagles or Kansas City. But I'm definitely not looking at these other teams too. Let's look at the teams. You got the Packers 5-1-1.
Packers looked good in the fourth quarter last night.
They tied the Cowboys a few weeks ago. I can look at every team. The Buccaneers. He looked terrible 2 weeks ago. I mean, the quarterback. So I can just go on. There's no standout team like there has been. The Steelers are in first place in the AFC North, 4-3.
But yet the Ravens, are now favored to win the AFC North yet again. It's in there at 2-5.
That's unbelievable. 2-5. I didn't even see that. Is that a fact?
Yes, that is a fact. At FanDuel, they are now the favorite to win the AFC North.
Unbelievable. By the way, just to let people know, out of those sports books I mentioned, those 4, I'll just tell you, the FanDuel line's a very sharp line compared to the other sports books out there. Some European influence in the risk room there. Guys that have been around a long time. I'll last more in a FanDuel account than I will a DraftKings account. I walk in. I'm going to make a video. DraftKings is over here, over by the Durango, a couple miles away there. By the Durango Casino is the DraftKings home office. That's where they have their home offices. And I was going to make a video. outside of the building, throwing things at the window, rocks, to say, can I get someone's attention, please? Can I bet more than 250, please, please? You know, but no, I'm really joking around. I mean, I know some of the guys over there.
I was gonna say, you can't call Avello and just say, "Hey, man, help me out."
Avello has no say. Avello has no say in limits or anything like that. He gets hit upon by everybody.
Oh, I'm sure.
I know John. And
when he was at the Win, I was bothering him constantly, kind of like we bother John Murray now over at the Westgate Superbook.
The Win's very good to me. The Win.
Listen, the Win is very good to sports bettors. I would agree with that.
Good guy. But my home sports book, though, in this town, without a doubt, it's where I film Wednesdays. I go in to watch some games. Westgate. I'm not just saying it. They have the greatest screens. They have the greatest deals. They have, like, someone told me, I don't drink. Someone told me, like, they have hot dogs and beers. And
yeah, dollar hot dogs and beers.
I'm going to start drinking at some point this season. So it's such a good deal. It's such closing line value that I have to have a couple of the beers. But,
you're hilarious. Yeah. All right, Crack. Kind of to piggyback off of that, we have a question from our audience from Deuce. He said, I often listen to respected podcasts, including your friends in Boston, my friends, where they will say, for example, I made this number closer to 7.5 or 8. What tools do professionals use to establish estimated lines? So, for example, I use a couple different guys at WagerTalk who have been doing power ratings for a very, very long time. Power ratings is tough. It is tough to keep up with. You're constantly having to evolve. And I realized long ago, whether it was Dave Koken, whether it was Teddy Covers, whether it was Ralph Michaels, those guys put in an immense amount of effort. So I start off with theirs to start the season, whether it's college football or NFL, and then I make my own adjustments, right? I think last week I mentioned on Bet on It that the over adjustment on K-State not being the favorite at KU was absolutely absurd. K-State runs away with it as a 2.5, 3.5 point underdog. I made that game 5. So I think when people say I made the game, it means from their power ratings metrics where they've now adjusted to the line. And books also will adjust certain sides that they need. Last week, John Murray told me that they had actually adjusted to need Bama in that South Carolina game. And guess what? It didn't work out well for them.
Yeah. Back in the 90s when I started this, I did all my own power ratings, my own power rankings, me and my partner at the time, for almost a decade, 9 years. And then to be real blunt, I just found the sharpest guys in the world that I worked with and deal with. But here's how they do it. Here's how one of my kids does it. He doesn't look at any lines first. Literally, his line is up before the Sunday night. And I say Sunday night, some people at home might not realize that. So Sunday, the line comes up for the next week. So 7 days ahead, I will use NFL, 7 days ahead. So we'll have the lines up where we think the line should be 7 days ahead of time before the majors put them up, the originating sports books. And, one of the originators that are offshore, I know he puts up the line to one customer. I know the guy too, by the way. And the customer gives him a 3-dime bet either way on the ones that he feels are off. So that's how they put up their line.
And then they move off of his numbers.
Off of his, and most of the world, believe it or not, copies off that line.
That doesn't shock me.
$3,000 bet, the entire world copy. People think there's a bookmaker in each office. No,
there's definitely not.
Bookmaker, and to be real blunt, the Westgate is one of the sports books that have guys that actually work in the back there that put up the lines and do know lines, and they could even bet themselves. That's how sharp they are. But so they think like there's one here at Caesars and one there at William Hill, and then another one down at South Point, another one here, there. That's not the way it works. That's not the way it works. They'll be willing to not take that originating bet and only trust that sharp already. And it's not like it's an efficient line, because the limits are much lower when that line comes out, even when the other sports books do copy that. So we will go off that, but I'll tell you what, it's really tough to go off because that line, that guy that gives them that 3-dime bet, I know who he is, believe it or not, just doing them a favor. He just does the guy that's there a favor. He has so much money, he'll never have to bet a game again in his life. So, and it is a pretty efficient line, but there are indicators and there are things, moving parts throughout the week that other games become bettable. Hence, the information we had last week on the Ravens. Usually, that information's spot on, and that's the reason why John Murray knows I'm going to bet something, and it's likely going to win long term. 55, 56, 58%. So that's the way our team does it. We have a lineup before the lines come up, and based on power, you're exactly right. Based on power ratings, power rankings, that's how the line comes up. That's how we come up with our line. And the books depend on us, the sharp guys, the sharps. Not saying I'm the only one. The books depend on us and the sharp, wise syndicate groups. And when I say syndicate, it's not sports major. It's not a mafia syndicate. It's a sports betting syndicate. They depend on the syndicate groups that are widely respected to formulate and sharpen up their line at a reduced exposure to the sports book. Perfect example. Yesterday, I bet a couple games with Superbook. They gave me $3,000 on 2 games yesterday on Sunday night. Towards the game, that same game, they'll give me $50,000. I don't bet that much, but I'm just saying, when it becomes a more efficient market, Westgate opens up their limits for a lot more money. And now that I open my mouth, just to hopefully prove that I'm right, let's see what Westgate.
I think that's really what it is. You're talking about the sharp guy who provides.
No, I wanted to see if,
I think that guy doesn't care about the money. I think he cares about being right. I think it's an ego
Westgate
thing.
takes tonight. 30,000. Okay, so yeah,
on the app.
30,000 on the app tonight. Yeah, so they take a lot more day of the game than they do. Like I said, they took 10% of that on a couple games from me yesterday that they only had. So I can't even give them to the public because it's only that sports book that has.
Yeah, and when they're not national anymore, it makes it a little more difficult.
Well, it's not. Well, here's what I'm saying, Kel. It's not fair what a lot of these fugazi snake oil charlatans do with their customers. They say you can bet this prop over 41.5 at Hard Rock, Florida, or you could bet this at DraftKings, or you could bet this with Bet365. That's BS. That's BS. I could have padded my record multiple times and had a much better record than I do. I have a winning record this football season if I did that. I give out an obtainable line. I check multiple lines before I give out. But I tell you,
well, ladies in customer service definitely love you then, because when that does happen, there are complaints. People do complain. Of course they would. If I can't log into Hard Rock, Florida, or one of my local accounts, and I can't bet something I'm paying for, it's
I'm
BS.
not referring. I wasn't even referring to WagerTalk. I don't know.
No, I know, but I just mean that there's a precedent set.
I don't even know the girls in customer service, but it's got to be hard being one of them. You want to know why? So I'll give out a prop. Let's say I give out a prop, over 9.5 on something. I give that out. Now, what happens? The people that subscribe, they go and play it in volume. Player A, B, C, D, E, F. What's the sportsbook supposed to do? They're going to move it. So you have to have notifications on your email. You have to know when that line comes out. I'm one of the rare guys in the space that are going to move the line. So you better get on top of that. And yes, and you better have multiple sources of lines and have multiple places to play. Because even though I give out something, I see it better line it somewhere else sometimes. I'm not going to say it though. I'm going to give you usually the DraftKings, FanDuel line, MGM, Caesars, because I know that's the biggest sports books that have volume in the country. That's what I want to give you out. I don't want to give you out Bet365, who supposedly they're taking over the world now, but they give you a peanut on something. If you win consistently, a lot of the books do. ESPN bet, we can go after them.
Sure, we can go after them, Crack.
You could just go to the counter, and if you have a pulse, $15, $20 max. Yeah. So
they're gonna $15 and $20 people to death. All right, Crack. Monday Night Football. What do you got going on over at WagerTalk.com before we get into this NBA scandal?
WagerTalk tonight. I put out a prop there. You know what? If people see it here, they see it here. I don't care. Let them see it here. It's fine. I don't even know if I'm supposed to. This is how prepared I am.
Yes. Listen, I'm telling you, you can give it out. We've got like 7 hours until kick. This show won't be out until like 4 or 5 o'clock. That if they watch it within the first couple hours and they get a free NFL prop, kudos to them.
This is one that you may even want to wait on because the public loves betting over on Kelsey. I went under Kelsey on his yards. They have some other wideouts that are healthy and massive, more favorites to take an easier workload on this week. So I think Kelsey is a good one. I also have a baseball prop up, I believe, but the packages over at WagerTalk is what you want to get on, though. And one day anything can happen. I mean, long term, though, like I just said, I'm having a good football season, 17-12 last week, but it's even better than that because you're betting bigger percentage of bankroll on the props. So you're actually even more successful than that betting through my package. But I always tell people, listen, they should lock me up till Super Bowl because Super Bowl, you can get the NFL props for the Super Bowl, which, basically it's the nuts there. And you can have the props throughout the NBA season, which already I started out good. Big deal. I know, like, I'm not one to say, hey, I'm 6-1 in my last 7. No, but I have started out with that number. I believe 7-2 is the number on NBA props. But so yeah, NBA props just started. I'm firing on them. NFL props again. I want you to bet 2.5 times what you're going to bet on a side. We know. I just told you how the market on the sides is so efficient. You can bet 30,000 at one place tonight, where that same place gives me $1,000. It's very nice of them to do that on a prop tonight than they would on the side. So obviously you want to bet more on the props than you do on sides and totals.
Absolutely, Krack. And that was something I talked with John Murray about on Kelly and Murray this last week is this NBA stuff. Like, how much money can these guys even possibly be getting down? Like, I'm trying to think if I had the best of the information. So let me give you an example. I got a text on Saturday morning. I had a buddy that was like, hey, listen, I got the game plan for this team. I'm going to tell you right now, go over this quarterback's passing yards. Quarterback's passing yards moved 9 yards after me and a few others bet it. I got down $2,500. Of course, he was just a few yards short. Those things are going to happen, but it doesn't matter. I got great information. I got great information about the game plan. But I will say this, 2,500, 3 dimes. Like these NFL players cannot possibly be getting down not only that much for themselves, but also the mafias that's tied to them. I mean, maybe I'm wrong here.
The mafia was the poker part of the indictment.
Was more the poker side?
Yeah, that wasn't the side of this part. I mean, granted, if they can make money, I'm sure they would. But for the numbers we're talking about, Kel, I have a pretty good network. I can get down some good money on props. You know what I can get down? 4,000, maybe.
That's what I mean.
So to hear you can get down even 3,000 is shocking over there. So, but I can get a Westgate, a Circa, BetMGM, South Point. I don't even think the win's not even offering NBA pro. Like, you really can't. Even if you go to a kiosk and try to stuff kiosk, they call it. You're putting kiosk, trying to go under radar. Maybe $5,000, and this is me. So, and I got a good network out there. I think places I can go and play. I think a lot more is to come out here. I think the Donahue scandal, Donahue, what he did, I think is 100 times worse than what's going on here. Only because if you really knew the numbers of that scandal from the ref fixing games years ago, that would have been a lot more, unless there's more to these cases that may come out in the future here.
Oh, I think this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, unless they are betting sides and totals. You can get down a lot of money on sides. Trust me, a ton. Big money. Talking 7 figures, maybe $1 million down. Then I'll understand a little bit more here if there's some more moving parts there. But props, I don't. Come on, they're telling me this, and granted, these guys are pretty stupid that are in the NBA making millions. You're talking about this guy.
That's what I'm saying. So if you're worth $100 million contract, let's just say you're a D League guy and you're making $650,000.
Yeah.
Why are you putting that at risk for 10 or 15,000?
Yeah, it's crazy. They're talking about some giant money, and maybe it's the entourage of Rozier that was just always bothering him for stuff, and the guys he hangs around with. You know, the guy's making $25 million a year. He's got to pay the entourage just to hang around with him. And I kind of know what that is on a smaller scale, by the way. I have an island of misfit toys around me too. Yeah, so I kind of understand it. But however, so maybe instead of giving them cash, you say, listen, guys, just bet my under for, and I'm not saying he's okay to do that. He's absolutely wrong to do that, because what about all the Joe Blows at home that are betting the over and thinking you're going to play your heart out like you always do? It's a terrible thing. It's terrible black eye on sports betting and the industry, which I already fought against people saying games are fixed, things are fixed.
I know it does. It definitely doesn't help that argument.
It doesn't help that argument. And I understand their side of it a little bit more and more when these things come out, whether it's the baseball pitcher throwing the first ball in the dirt, or it's these NBA guys.
Well, we've even seen a couple of mentionings of it in college football. Whether it's actually happened or not, it hasn't
100%.
came out yet. And sometimes I think these leagues want to keep it under the radar.
Yeah,
Adam Silver has to testify in front of Congress next week.
It talks about this in college basketball with certain teams back east too. I mean, it's a black eye, and for them to say though, oh, you got to stop prop betting. All these people on TV saying they're going to stop.
Of course, that's what those guys think. It's just going to make it all go away, right?
What's the reason why they're not going to stop prop betting? The sports books make a fortune off of it. Do you think everyone wins betting props? The public is suckers. They love betting over. They love betting these same game parlays that are built with props in them. Of course, they're not going to get rid of. They're not getting rid of this, But you have a guy that used to play in the NFL. That's he has nothing to talk about on air. He has to make up stuff. NBA, that's what they have to talk about. I love Charles though. He shut them all down.
Oh, because Charles knows. You think Charles is a gambler? Let's be real. I met Charles in Vegas in a sports book. And then he was like, I don't even know who you are. And he's picking up the newspaper and there's my face. And he's looking at me like, wait a minute. And I will never forget, best Charles story ever, I'll keep it short, Crack, was the Oklahoma State, West Virginia game. And it was flying over the total. And at halftime, it was like at 70 at half. This is, a couple decades ago, it feels like now, but at least 10 years ago now. And he goes, I'm going to go up and bet the second half under. So the second he goes up, puts 50,000 on the second half under, I walked right up behind him, put my whole nickel, my $550 on the second half over.
Wow. Oh my God. But I've met Charles, really nice guy. Going back to what I'm saying though, I seen a podcast the other day. Someone sent me that was fantastic. There's no better breakdown of these indictments, including the ones with Billups, including that one. Both indictments break down word for word, mention the real names, talk about the rats, talk about Jeff Nadeau on his. It's called this.
Oh, the sit down.
The sit down. Well, with Jeff Nadeau, he did an unbelievable breakdown. Anyone want to see something really good? Watch that hour he did Saturday. I was left with my mouth open after, but I know better. The guy that sent me it, he's a mob historian. He knows so many things, has books, and he just, for him to send me something and to tell me to watch it, I should have known. I knew right away what I was looking at had to be good. It was so good. I actually rewound it and watched parts. I even tweeted it out for him. Like I said, that's how good it was.
Well, I'll have to listen. I'm a Jeff Nadeau fan. We work together at Barstool. I like Jeff a lot, and I think he does a lot of really good stuff, and he gets a lot of really good information.
The information he had was unbelievable on this. Let me tell you. I don't care what people say, and everyone has haters. I have tons of haters. You have haters. Jeff has haters. I don't care. Block and move. Block and move. Someone said something to me about, oh, you're putting this out. Yeah, I am. The information was great. His information is great on this. So that's a real good breakdown on it. Me, from being a sports bettor, I kind of told you what I feel. Some of these knuckleheads. How about the side of it with the poker player thing? I've seen those. It's called dab, and you have put a contact lens in your eye. You could dab the cards. This was even more sophisticated though than the dab. The dab's been going on for 40 years since blackjack scams in the 80s and 90s. But now more sophisticated. They have the card with the king, ace on the back of the card. I've seen that in some of the things, but I don't really know what actually happened. They're talking about having some sophisticated shufflers.
Well,
and
from
things.
my understanding, the idea was invite a famous player, right?
Right.
And then he'll invite other people.
Yeah, he
And
may
then
not
that way you're
even know
getting big
about it.
money into the games that are
I'm
fixed.
not saying he doesn't, by the way.
No, allegedly. That's
He
what
may not even know about it, but he's going to be penalized for playing in those games. But let me tell you something. I played in many games that were charity tournaments that turned into real ones with celebrities, with the Tobey Maguires, with the who's the kid from Imagine I Don't Realize This, one of the biggest movie stars, like Leo. The kid, I would say, who's the kid from Titanic? Leo DiCaprio. I played in these type of tournaments in LA recently where it turned out to be real money games way above my head. I couldn't even, but you want to know something? There's always that chance that these games might have some shadiness to them, but the celebrities or athletes don't even know. But there's so much money at hand. These guys are playing with, 200,000 on the table each that you just never know. I want to tell you something. I've been saying for years on VSiN, I can just tell you there's cheating going on in casinos under surveillance. If there's cheating going on there, what shot do you have at a home game? That's all I can tell you.
Oh, listen, I was playing online poker during COVID because there was nothing else to do. And the very first night, I'm like, no, this isn't right. And turns out people ended up getting caught, buddies being on the phone with each other. Oh, yeah, I got 9-9. All right, I got king 9. Here we go. Let's figure this out. And then you would have them fake raise. You would do all these things. And next thing you know, one guy folds.
You could be in a chat room together with multiple people in the game. But I'm even taking it a step further. What about years ago when Russ Hamilton got caught knowing what all the cards were on these big games, these giant websites that everyone trusted, some of the biggest names in poker? That's what I'm talking about cheating. That's really cheating when you're seeing everyone's whole cards and you're in the game or advising someone in the game. That online poker world, oh my God, good luck to you. That's all I can tell you.
All right. Well, good luck to you this week, Crack. I'm going to need it after all the faves and overs went last week. All right, what do you got on docket for this week? You got the show with John Orlando Wednesday, Wisecracks.
Yeah.
Okay. Wisecracks going to be out Wednesday night. Anything else you want to let our audience know about before we get out of here?
I mean, you could find my show on Wisecracks. It's over on WagerTalk. Listen, I got to be blunt, and I don't mean to embarrass him, but he's really easy to embarrass. John is a degenerate gambler. He admits it. He talks about it. He talks about poker. I've given him thousands. He shook me down for $1,000, 600 last week and 400 and two different things. He shakes me down all the time for things. I love his dad. I really should text Tony and say, Tony, I'm only giving him this money because of you. He just admits that he's just looking to make one score. Why do I fall for this? I'm sharper than that. But he is my co-host, and I love John though, because you want to know why? He admits to everything that I know that goes on out there. The human condition, the gambling condition. I just told my boss, well, I said my boss because he is my boss over at Fox Sports Radio. So listen to me. John Orlando and I should be doing something together because he's the representation of what the listening audience is. There's gamblers listening. Everyone has egos. They all say they win. They all say, John says I lose. And this is the things I go through. And just give me 100. And he's constantly quoting the one winner he had. I told you Toronto and the Dodgers. What about the losers you had, John? You've killed, all your stuff could have killed small islands of the nations of people. And you want to talk about the one winner yet. But that makes it work. We're a Ralph Cramden, Ed Norton type of thing. Where, go back and forth, Abbott and Costello, but I'm not fooling around. He may be. I'm not fooling around. I go after him. I'm literally like a pork, like literally. I'm like, what do you call that? I am a pit bull on a pork chop. Definitely. Ooh. I go after him because, I don't want him giving out this information all the time and only remembering his and plus a lot of the other things he does. He's a knucklehead.
Well, it's always have good friends who kind of keep you in line. I try to be that friend too. Tell people not to be complete and utter degenerates. Sometimes it's better to take your own advice and not bet teams like the Browns and the Panthers yesterday. This has been KIV and Crack. Guys, if you have a question for us, drop it in the chat here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. You can tweet it to us next Monday, and we'll try to get it answered here on the show. Good luck this week.
Thanks, everyone.